What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over 7 very simple high ground retakes that I believe even beginners will be able to do. I made a similar video to this sometime last month and I got a lot of positive feedback on that one. Even though I consider myself a pretty good Fortnite player as a whole, a lot of the high ground retake videos I've seen on YouTube seem ridiculous to me. I'll watch someone do a retake that they'll call simple or easy, and once they do it, I'm sitting there thinking, I've played Fortnite for almost 3 years and I don't think I'd be able to do that retake. And I also truly believe that the more complicated a retake is, the less useful it'll be in real game scenarios. So none of the retakes that you see in this video will require double edits or anything flashy like that, therefore I think they're all very console friendly. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first retake that we're going to be going over are Fake Cone 90s. So this retake strategy is not only incredibly simple, but also very effective if used correctly. The mechanics of it are really as simple as this. You crank 90s just like you normally would, but every few 90s you want to look towards one of your side walls, place a ramp on top of it, and then place a cone connected to the end of that ramp. And then once you've done that, you just continue 90ing like you would in a regular situation. So this technique is most powerful when your opponent is trying to ramp over you, and there are 2 reasons why it works so effectively. First off, whenever you throw up that ramp and cone to the side, it makes your opponent think that you're about to start ramping in that direction. So what a lot of people will do is sort of pause their building and pre-aim that cone thinking you're going to edit through it, but in reality it was all a fake and you're still 90ing straight up the entire time. Second, if the enemy's trying to ramp over you from a certain angle, that ramp and cone may actually block them from being able to continue their building. So then they'd need to stop for a second and change direction, and at that point the high ground would be as good as yours since you've been cranking 90s the entire time. So this is one of the most simple retake strategies you'll ever see, and if used correctly, it can be really deadly. The next retake that we're going to cover is a slightly simplified version of Bugha's forward side jump. So in the last high ground retake video, one retake I quickly covered was the simple side jump. It's a technique that most people know about at this point, but again, for how simple it is, it's also very effective and you'll see pros doing it all the time. The difference between the standard side jump and forward side jump is, I guess, kinda obvious based on the name. Instead of jumping to the left and turning sideways and ramping up towards the left, you instead still jump to the left side, but you continue looking forward, catch yourself with a floor and ramp, and then continue ramping up in that direction. The reason why that's so effective is because your momentum is stopped even less than when you do a regular side jump since you aren't even changing direction. Also, much like with the Fake Cone 90s, this could also easily surprise your enemy. When I see someone jump to the side of a cone and place a floor, I immediately assume that they're going to start ramping to that side. So if I'm in front of them, I'll pause for a split second to prepare for a shot, and that may be all the time the enemy would need to ramp forward straight past me and take high ground. The jump part of the forward side jump is a little more difficult than the standard one, so you may need to practice it a bit more, and I'd suggest rewatching the clip I just showed if you can't get it down to see how I do the jump fairly easily each time. Moving on to our next retake, we have kind of a 2-for-1 special here. I call this one the Scissor Ramp 180, and there's a basic version of it and then a slightly more advanced version. The basic version is actually ridiculously simple. You start off by doing a regular scissor ramp, which means you place ramps above and below you. Then once you've ramped up 2 to 3 times, you want to turn around, connect a wall to the ramp above your head that you're now facing, then connect another wall to the side of that, jump towards it, place a ramp to catch yourself, and then just continue ramping up in that same direction. And just like with all the other retakes, you can mix in 90s at that point or do whatever else you want. So the obvious reason why this retake is effective is because you totally flip the direction you're ramping towards in the blink of an eye. So if your opponent is directly above you, for example, he's gonna keep ramping forward to stay on top of you, and then suddenly you do this retake and you ramp right past him before he even realizes what happened. Now the main negative here is that due to how simple this is, you aren't really protected very well. The scissor ramp provides you a little bit of cover above you, but when you actually switch directions by placing the two walls, you're pretty exposed as a whole. So the second version of this Scissor 180 incorporates two cones as an extra layer of protection. It starts the same way with you scissor ramping up, but then right before you change the direction, you want to place two cones above you like in the clip. Then once you've done that, simply repeat the same process of turning around, placing the two walls, jumping to the side, and ramping up. Adding the two cones into this definitely does make it a little bit more tricky, but if you can learn to do it consistently, I think that the extra cover it gives you is really worth it. Our next high ground retake in this video is something I call the double cone retake. This is a retake that I first saw some pro player do a few months back, but honestly, I have no idea who it specifically was since it happened so long ago. So this retake starts off very normal and simple. As you're ramping up, you place a cone towards the end of your ramp. Then you place a second cone connected to either the left or right side of the first one, connect a ramp to that, run up the ramp, edit through the second cone you placed, and then keep going upwards either by ramping or 90ing. The main reason why this retake works is because when you're ramping up and you place a cone connected to the end of that ramp, your opponent is basically thinking one of two things is about to happen. You're either going to edit through the cone and then keep ramping straight up, or you're going to try some sort of side jump. And since 99% of people side jump to the left, that's the side they'd be predicting. So by going to the right and editing through the second cone, you do just enough to throw the enemy off. This is actually the only retake on the entire list that requires any kind of editing, but I really can't emphasize enough how simple this retake really is. It may look a tad bit challenging, but I can assure you that the piece placement is very simple, and it all kind of flows together with the edit that you need to make. I truly believe that even average players will be able to learn this retake in like 5 to 10 minutes tops. The next retake on our list is a somewhat simplified version of the Thwifo cone spam, which is my single favorite retake to use. I include the full Thwifo cone spam in the previous video I did on this subject, but I actually saw a good amount of comments from people saying that they just couldn't do it. So this right here is a version that requires 1 to 2 less pieces being placed, which I think will make it a bit easier. As you're ramping up, all you need to do is quickly turn around and place two walls on top of each other, then connect a cone to the top wall, turn back around, and keep ramping. So the positives of this compared to the full Thwifo cone is that you may find it a little easier, and also that it uses 10 to 20 less mats per level, which does add up over time. The main negative though is the fact that since you're placing less pieces, obviously you're slightly less protected. This bootleg version still does a solid job of protecting you from your back and above, but it doesn't place the side walls, so you're pretty much totally exposed from that direction. All in all, I definitely like the full Thwifo cone more, but I could see how some people would like this version better, so I thought I'd throw it in here. The final retake that I just want to quickly touch on at the end here is something I mentioned in a previous video, Infinite 90s. I know 90s may not count as a traditional high ground retake by definition, but I personally disagree with that. When I'm on low ground and I'm trying to get to high ground before my enemy does, Infinite 90s are probably the most common way that I try to do that. So in my opinion, that counts as a high ground retake. And in case you're unfamiliar with Infinite 90s, when you do 90s normally, you get jump fatigue after you do about 3 in a row. However, if after your third one you do a 90 without jumping, that'll actually reset your jump fatigue, and then you can do 3 more. If you repeat that process over and over again, you can 90 without ever stopping. This is a really powerful technique that is easily one of the best ways to retake high ground in the game. I know it's not super flashy flashy and it may take a little bit of time to get down if you've never done it before, but trust me, it's worth it and it's going to help you in so many different situations. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Which type of high ground retake do you most commonly use in Fortnite? It doesn't have to be one from this video, just let me know. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.